America destroyed something the rest of the world never had. And nobody noticed until it was already gone. In 1964, you could walk into a Woolworth's, sit down on a spinning stool, and have a hot meal in front of you in under 4 minutes. No app, no waitlist, no server describing today's concept. Just a woman named Edna behind the counter who already knew you wanted coffee before you opened your mouth. That lunch cost 65 cents. It was better than most things you can spend $25 on today. There were 100,000 lunch counters in America at their peak. By 1985, most of them were gone. Not because the food wasn't good enough, because America decided a parking lot was worth more than a stool. These are the 15 meals that vanished with them, and if you grew up sitting at one of these counters, something in the next 15 minutes is going to hit you somewhere specific. You'll know it when it gets there. Number 15. Grilled cheese on white bread. Not the kind with Gruyere and caramelized onion jam that costs $16 at a bistro and arrives on a wooden board. The real kind. Wonder Bread, American cheese, butter on the flat top until both sides turn the color of a wheat field in August. You could hear it sizzle from 2 stools away. 25 cents in 1963. Paired with tomato soup for 40 cents total, it was the lunch that kept an entire working class fed through the afternoon. Nobody photographed it. Nobody put it on a menu with a paragraph description underneath. Nobody needed to. Number 14. Tomato soup from the back burner. Not the canned soup you heated at home. The pot that had been sitting since 10 in the morning getting better every hour, stirred by a cook who had been making the same soup since Eisenhower was president. A splash of whole milk at the end. 1 oyster cracker floating on top. Not 2. 1. It cost 15 cents in 1961. You wrapped both hands around it in January because the counter sat near the door and the cold came in every time someone entered. The soup fixed that. The soup fixed most things. Number 13. Fork and knife hot turkey sandwich with gravy. This one required a fork. Real roasted turkey carved off a bird that had gone into the oven at 6 in the morning, laid thick on white bread, completely buried under brown gravy made from the pan drippings. A second slice on the side for mopping. Mashed potatoes underneath, never beside. 65 cents in 1964. For the factory worker who couldn't get home until 6 in the evening, this was the closest thing to Sunday dinner he'd see on a Tuesday. He ate it fast because he had 28 minutes. He thought about it for the rest of the afternoon. Number 12. Tuna melt. A scoop of tuna salad, heavy on the mayo with plenty of celery, and made that morning without exception, centered on a split English muffin, 1 slice of cheddar on top, and the sandwich slid under the broiler until the cheese bubbled and darkened at the edges. You could smell it from the door. 55 cents in 1966. The short-order cook assembled it in 90 seconds without looking up. You ate it in 8 minutes because someone was already waiting for your stool. That was the rhythm of the lunch counter. Fast in, fast out. Fed for the rest of the day. If this is waking something up in you, hit subscribe and ring the notification bell. We've got a lot more of these meals waiting to come back. Number 11. Patty melt on rye. The patty melt was what happened when a hamburger and a grilled cheese got into an argument, and both of them won. Thin beef patty, rye bread, Swiss cheese, caramelized onions that a good cook started at 10:30 because she knew what 11:45 was going to look like. Both sides pressed on the grill until the bread went dark, and the whole thing fused into something you could not get anywhere else. 55 cents in 1965. The onions were everything. A cook who started them late gave you pale, half-raw onion that ruined the sandwich and ruined your afternoon. Most regulars knew which cooks to avoid on that. They planned their lunch breaks accordingly. Number 10. Egg salad sandwich. Made that morning, never the day before. Hard-boiled eggs, chopped rough, not turned to paste, with mayonnaise, a hit of yellow mustard, salt, and white pepper. On white bread, cut corner to corner, with a dill pickle spear and exactly 3 potato chips on the plate. 35 cents in 1962. You ordered the egg salad when you were in a mood to be left alone. It was a quiet sandwich. It did not ask anything of you. It just sat there and let you think for 20 minutes in the middle of a workday. Number 9. Blet on toasted white. 3 strips of bacon cooked until crisp without being cruel about it. Iceberg lettuce, a thick slice of tomato that in August came from a farm 40 miles away and in January came from a truck, and you could tell the difference immediately. Mayo on both slices before the tomato went on, so the juice mixed in and turned it slightly pink at the edges. 45 cents in 1963. The August blet and the January blet were different foods. Nobody said this out loud, but every regular ordered something else in January and counted the months until August came back. Here is what nobody tells you about why they disappeared. The lunch counter didn't lose a competition. It lost a parking lot. When the interstates went in and the suburbs spread out, the foot traffic that kept Main Street alive walked out to the highway and never came back. The 5 and dimes that housed the counters couldn't survive a world built around cars. The grill went cold. The stools were sold. The cook who had made the same tomato soup every morning since 1951 retired and never talked about it. She didn't need to. You already knew. Number 8. Chicken pot pie. Individual ceramic ramekin, still bubbling when it hit the counter in front of you. Diced chicken, peas, carrots and potatoes in a cream sauce under a round of pastry that had puffed up golden in the oven. You burned your tongue on the first bite every time. You did it anyway every time. 55 cents in 1967. The pastry came from a recipe that Cook had memorized so completely that when someone asked her to write it down, she could not. She had to make it first and watch her own hands to find the measurements. That is how deep it lived. Number 7. Open-face roast beef with mashed potatoes. Sunday's roast became Monday's lunch. Thin sliced beef on white bread drowned in brown gravy with a scoop of mashed potatoes that had been sitting in a double boiler since 11 in the morning, getting softer by the hour. 65 cents in 1964. The open face did not pretend the roast was not a day old. It just covered everything in gravy and gave you bread to mop with. And here is the thing. It worked completely. Every person who sat down with it felt, for 20 minutes, like someone had cooked a real meal specifically for them. That feeling was worth 65 cents. It was worth considerably more. Here is what was actually lost. Go find a restaurant today where a factory worker and a bank manager sit 3 stools apart and order the same thing off the same laminated card. Go ahead, you cannot. The lunch counter was the last truly democratic table in American public life. No reservation, no dress code, no price that excluded anyone. You sat where there was a stool, ordered what was on the card, left a dime, and nobody looked twice. When the lunch counters closed, that table closed with them. Every franchise that replaced them gave you the same meal, but not the same room. Not the room where everyone was equal for 25 minutes because the soup cost the same for all of them. That room is gone. Number 6. The club sandwich. 3 layers. Turkey, bacon, lettuce, tomato, and mayo on the first slice of toast. The second layer was the same again. A final slice of toast on top. 4 toothpicks with cellophane frills, cut into 4 triangles, fanned out beside a pile of chips and a pickle. 75 cents in 1965. The most expensive thing on the menu. You ordered the club when you wanted to feel like you were somewhere nicer than a spinning stool at a Woolworth's. Those little cellophane frills helped. A cook who could build 3 layers without the whole thing collapsing when the toothpicks went in was worth keeping. Most did it clean every time without breaking stride. Number 5. Liver and onions. This one is gone, and it is not coming back. A full slice of calf's liver dredged in flour, seared fast on a screaming hot flat top until just done, laid over sweet caramelized onions, cooked low in butter for 20 minutes until they were soft and smelled like something your grandmother made when she was trying to fix a bad day. 55 cents in 1963. Nobody under 50 ordered this willingly. Everyone over 60 did not look at the menu. The timing was everything. 30 seconds too long, and it turned to shoe leather. The cooks who had it in their wrists ran the best counters in town. Most of them never got credit for it. Number 4. Pimento cheese sandwich. Below the Mason-Dixon line, pimento cheese was not a trend. It was just there, in the refrigerator, ready on white bread, cut in half, 30 cents in 1961. Sharp cheddar grated by hand. Duke's mayonnaise, south of Richmond. Cream cheese for body. Diced pimentos for that particular orange that told you exactly where in America you were. Every cook between Virginia and Texas had her own ratio and defended it like a Social Security number. No grill, no timing, no drama, just a cook who knew the ratio and hands that had made it enough times to feel when it was right. Number 3. Chili mac. Beef chili that had been on the stove since 9 in the morning, ladled hot over elbow macaroni, shredded cheddar on top, melting purely from the heat rising off the bowl. 40 cents in 1964. The first few bites you did not need a spoon because the chili was thick enough to hold the pasta together. By the end of the bowl, you needed one. Kids coming in after school ordered this more than anything else on the menu. They would sit with their coats still on, both hands around the bowl. The cook refilled their water without being asked, because she knew they would come in thirsty and probably had not eaten since breakfast. She did not make a production of it. It was just what you did. Number 2. Beef stew over a biscuit. A cook who understood timing started the stew at 9 in the morning. Stew beef browned in batches until each piece carried a dark crust, simmered low with carrots, potatoes, and onion for 2 hours until the broth went thick and clung to the spoon. It was ladled over a split biscuit baked that morning. 65 cents in 1966. A cook who did not start at 9 in the morning served thin broth over pale vegetables, and her counter was half empty by 12:30. The regulars always knew. Patience in the morning meant a full house at noon. That was the whole secret of the short order kitchen. Number 1. The Blue Plate Special. Every lunch counter had one. It changed daily. It was always the best deal on the menu, and it always came on a divided plate. 3 sections pressed right into the ceramic, so the green beans stayed out of the mashed potatoes, and the gravy stayed where it belonged. Monday was meatloaf. Tuesday was pot roast. Wednesday was fried chicken. Thursday was pork chop. Friday was fish. 65 cents every day, made by a cook who had been doing it long enough that her hands knew what to do before her brain finished the thought. The regulars never looked at the menu. They knew what day it was. They sat on the same stool they always sat on, and the cook slid the plate across the counter without a word because she already knew their order and exactly how much pepper they wanted on the potatoes. That's not a restaurant. That's something we don't have a word for anymore, because we don't have it. Edna Marsh retired in 1978. The Woolworths on Main Street in Columbus closed in 1994. There is a chain pharmacy there now. The stools are gone. The pie case is gone. What replaced it costs 4 times as much and does not know your name. Make one of these this week. The grilled cheese on white bread with American cheese. Not Gruyere. American. Sit down at your table with it. Do not eat it over the sink. Tell me in the comments which one you are making. Tell me if you remember a lunch counter. Tell me what you always ordered. Tell me what stool you always sat on. Tell me if the cook knew your name, because some of you sat on those stools. And I would give a lot to hear what the plate looked like when it came across.